Good people, what's going on? Welcome to episode 99, the Dawn Podcast. Look, man, 99. It's been years today. Special guest, businessman, business owner, writer, producer, director, a real journalist, because journalism is struggling right now in the culture, not just hip hop, but in overall black culture. We're not getting the truth out here. And today we're going to get some truth. And people know I love the truth. Some people love it when I say it. They don't love it when they hear the truth. But this brother right here, extensive history in not just hip hop culture, but black community. He doesn't just talk it, he lives it. He puts his money behind it. I know some of you guys don't understand. Some of us actually put our money behind things that we talk about and things that we do for people in our communities. We both are business men and business owners in behavioral health, if I'm not mistaken, man. But right now, we're going to get into a lot of stuff with my brother, Curtis Scoon, man. How you doing, man?
I'm good, brother Tony. Thank you for having me, man.
So look, now, just real quick, I followed you for a lot of years. I've seen your conversations around not only hip hop culture, but black culture and black politics. And you've been engaged in that personally. You've endorsed people. You put your time and energy behind it. So I respect you for one. So me reading this article that we're going to talk about at some point in a few minutes, it didn't surprise me the angle you went at. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, I appreciate you writing the criminalization of rap. But before we get into all that, man, obviously a lot of people know who you are, but to my platform, certain people might not know you yet. They will know you after this. Just a brief synopsis, man, or just, I know all about you, but just, what I'm saying, give the people, the listeners, just something about yourself, man, just your past, man, and we'll take it from there if you don't mind.
It's okay. It's just so much, I say humbly. I grew up in New York City. That's where I'm from. I was born in 1964. So I was about 10 years old when rap first started. And I really got acquainted with rap when I went to high school in 1978. But before we get into all of that, I want to say that I'm a business owner. I'm a political strategist. And when I say business owner, no offense to anyone, it's more than a EIN number. I got employees. I got an HR department, human resources. I got all of that stuff. I got a business in DC, one in Detroit. I'm the executive director of the Coleman Young Education Foundation, and I'm also a real estate developer. Yeah, I own a media company, Scoon TV. The article we're going to talk about would never get published by anyone, and
No.
that's kind of like how they've censored information. So what I did was I set up Scoon TV, not to make money because I don't make any money off of Scoon TV. I set up Scoon TV on its own server, so I don't have to say unalive or grape or any of those things that they're doing now to train us to talk and act in certain ways, conditioning us for the future. I just want the unadulterated truth out there. And hip hop, I've been there from the very beginning, just like the article said. So yeah, I do all of those things. I probably forgot a few. Oh, a book contributor. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
I did that. Queen's Reign Supreme.
yes,
That
that's
was
right. It's about 2005, right?
That's right. That was my idea, and
Yeah.
it was based off of an article in Playboy about me. I have a history in the street. I've been a murder suspect. I've been on trial. I've been convicted. I've overturned my convictions in the appellate court. You see, the thing when I talk to young people, younger people than me, not even young people, but younger people than me, they always need to see a link,
Right.
verify information.
Right.
And they need links because they don't have the direct contact and experience. You see what I'm saying? There are things that
Absolutely.
there are things that I can reference that there are no links for because I was there and saw it happen. It's just like in your household. You could talk about what happened with your kids. You can't provide a link to prove that this is what really happened. But
Absolutely.
but your account should be good enough. But when you take that away from people who stand on these statistics and these links, I think education sometimes has been misapplied, and it's given people a false sense of authority on things. Without the critical thinking, they don't understand that maybe what they read in the link is not accurate or not the whole story.
You know what, those Scoon too, with obviously as the businessman, your accomplishments, but in hip hop, sometimes it's a thing of street credibility and street codes and respect in that nature. But you know, with you, your lifestyle growing up in Hollis, Queens, and you growing up with a lot of hip hop legends we can get into. But in like 2002, if I'm not mistaken, you was kind of NYPD kind of put your name attached to Jam Master Jay murder. And I know you've talked about that on platform over the years, so I'm not going to beat that in the head, but that is a thing. And after that, you became more of a public figure. Am I correct?
That is correct. Prior to that, I've never been someone who would even do stuff like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And after I was wrongfully accused, and you got to understand the kind of heat that I took. My name was on the front page of the papers. I was on the news. There's been
Yeah.
several documentaries where my alleged
Yep.
implication has been referenced, right? And that has an impact on your life. So once I seen how the internet was working to malign me, I decided to use it to my advantage because I'm a believer that a blessing and a curse are one and the same. The difference being in the application. If they was going to use the media to,
Mm-hmm.
to to tarnish my name, because I wasn't a saint prior to that, obviously. This is why I was a suspect in the first place. This is why so many people believed it in the first place. I'm not in denial of that. But I had nothing to do with it. Didn't even know where the studio was. You know what I mean? And in fact, the obvious thing has been proven that it was people right in his circle that did it. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? And
absolutely. And what's crazy is, us having this conversation today because I remember being a hip hop head, and I am one. But back then, when Jam Master Jay got killed, I started hearing your name. I'm here in North Carolina. I'm like, Curtis Scoon, who is that? I'm thinking to myself, okay, it's some local drug dealer. You know what I'm saying? Jay might have owed some paper to, and he done maybe put some people down and kill this guy. I mean, obviously, after I started seeing your platform and doing the research on you years ago, when I started following you, I was like, dude, legit dude, you know what I'm saying? But they linking him to that, and it changed your life, man. But you flipped it, man, and made it make sense. I think you also did stuff with American Gangster, BET, and everything, didn't you?
yeah, I did. You see, the book opened the door for me to produce
Mm.
television because I had written a script called 1013. That's the NYPD code for
Oh,
Officer Down, right? And it was
okay.
about the killing of Edward Byrne. And
Yeah,
I linked the streets of Queens to the rappers who came out of Queens, Run DMC, all of them, because the street guys influenced the entertainment guys.
right.
Nowadays, I think it's a reverse, but back then, that was the case. And I touched on that in the article.
Facts. We're gonna get to
And
that.
I was showing how through rap, through the significant rappers, Russell Simmons, Def Jam, all of them that came out of Queens, that the street guys in Queens actually influenced the world through those, and that was the premise of the book, and it
Right.
was called Queens Reign Supreme. The title I picked as a rebuttal to KRS-One because his name is Knowledge Reigns Supreme,
That's right.
and of course he came out with his song "The Bridge Is Over," dissing Queens.
No doubt.
That was my shot back at him. Nah,
Yeah, he
Queens,
trying to get at y'all, man.
look, yeah. So that
Yeah.
that that was that, and when the
Queens keep
producers,
on faking it, right?
yeah, when the producers from American Gangster saw the book, because the book was the first of its kind.
Mhm.
Prior to that, no one had gotten those people to talk on record,
Right.
but I was able to do that. You know what I mean? And
Because then you interview Fat Cat.
yeah, but not for the book.
Yeah,
I
but you
interviewed him
anyway though.
for King Magazine. I
Right.
interviewed, like I know Cat. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I talked to Cat maybe about 3 months ago. You know, yeah, and he's been locked up since like '85, right? And his son and myself, we're pretty cool, man. His son Raheem, shout out to Big Rod. You
Hmm.
know, yeah, I know these people, right? And so I was able to get them to participate. Cat had never talked to anyone on record, and this is why BET kind of they really appreciated me because I got him to sign off on it, his family and everybody doing the episode.
And
But the
that's
way
not normal.
no, but the way I did it though, I told him that unless I sign off on it, they couldn't publish it. So I had that agreement with BET, and Deborah Lee signed off on it. And prior to me getting that agreement, they told me, they said, that would be the equivalent of giving you editorial control, creative control.
Hmm.
And I told him, I said, that's one way to look at it, but it's a small concession to get everything you want. In other words, the episode couldn't air unless I approved of it, because what I had to do was protect him and his family to support
Absolutely.
participation. See, and that's why that happened. And then after that, I did it again with Vivian Blake, the head of the Shower Posse, and I
Hmm.
did the Supreme episode, and I got Irv and Chris
Right.
and all of them to do the Supreme episode before he went on trial, and I got Chaz his episode on there. I didn't Chaz Williams, for people that
Absolutely. He passed away, correct?
he did. I'm the one that got his episode on there,
Oh,
and
okay.
even with the Romper Room game with Mac Dre, I made that happen. See, I do a lot of my stuff behind the scenes,
Of
and
course.
that's why when people who just talk about they got links or something like that come at me, I'm like, man, what are you talking about, man? Maybe you think I'm one of your buddies or something. Like, you don't know where I've been, what I do, who I know. I'm actually giving you some game right now. You
Well, you
might
got,
take
I mean,
it.
you got firsthand experience, and I read the
Correct.
article twice already, but I knew your background. I know you grew up in Hollis. I know you grew up with Run DMC and went to school with these guys and all that, and so you've been there since the earliest parts of hip hop. So in your article, I want to say this real quick. It's really a trip down memory lane. And for anyone watching this, if you call yourself a hip hop head, this is a man who lived it in the first generations of the culture, firsthand experience with the guys who end up taking hip hop global, which is Run DMC and Jam Master Jay. So if you say you love this thing, this is an article you need to read, and read with an open mind, an open heart, because there's some touchy situations that we got to address today about this article, because it has affected this culture and our people, and we can't overlook certain things, man. So let me ask you this, Scoon. Like, and I know you've kind of been on a crusade for years, and some people might say it's Scoon versus hip hop over the years, because you've been very vocal in your displeasure with certain things. It's like the uncle you got to talk to. It's like, damn, I don't want to talk to them because they're going to tell me some stuff I really don't want to hear, but I need to hear it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so what was your mentality going into this particular article, though?
I must say, first and foremost, I love hip hop. Um, Hip hop is like the soundtrack of my life, right? And believe it or not, I don't have a problem with, excuse me, a lot of the so-called negative things in rap. What I have a problem with is labeling it black culture.
Mm.
That's what I have a problem with. You can't.
Let's go there real quick, Scoon. Let's go
Yeah,
right there real quick, because I
yeah.
thought about that earlier, because you said on more than one occasion, stop calling certain things black culture. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So let's expand on that part real quick.
See, I think, right, because a few black people do things doesn't mean it's black culture. You can't speak for 40 million people because kids or a certain subset in certain cities are into certain things. That's their underground subculture. But when you claim it as black culture, what you're really trying to do is nullify criticism for your behavior in advance, because
Mm.
you know the behavior, the criticism is coming, but the way you nullify it, the way you neutralize it is to say what? This is black culture. So then it makes people who are not black, they're not they're disqualified from even speaking on it now, because then they're going to be
Yeah.
called racist. That's the next thing, right? So it's up to us who are black to be like, no, 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 that ain't us, man. That might be what's going on in Miami, or it's like, take for instance, in New Orleans, they got the New Orleans bounce, where the
Right.
dudes dancing and shaking their ass. And I don't call that black culture. That
I
you understand what I'm saying? That's,
feel you.
I've never seen that anywhere but New Orleans, right? And listen, I'm not judging it, but just because you got black people in certain places doing certain things doesn't mean that it's a representation of the collective.
So
So
let me ask you this then. So if it's, let's just use black culture as the top of the totem pole. Well, so are these the subcultures you're talking about, but they're not exclusive to black people, or?
listen, black people do different things in different cities. They got different, different customs, so to speak, in different cities. And even,
Regional lifestyles.
that's right. And even in those places, there's differences within that little subgenre, right? Like
That's facts.
subdemographic, because certain people in that same city of a certain age might feel exactly like I do about it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that's the danger in putting something on everyone when you haven't consulted with everyone to see how they feel about it.
That's
Like,
facts.
but what they do is, in hip hop, is with all this twerking and all this, they use the whole black culture thing to minimize criticism of the violence, the objectification, all of these things that are being, the immorality that's being promoted. And I know there's a lot of people that's going to be saying, well, these white people be doing, I don't care what white people do.
I don't care.
That's their business, right? And not only that, not only is it their business, they can do all kinds of shit and then wake up one day and decide to walk away from it and be somebody completely different and succeed in life. Meanwhile, we pay a heavy price for our transgressions.
Listen to this, Scoon.
Sometimes
It's so
there ain't
funny
no
you.
coming back.
Yeah, that it's funny you said that, because I did a video a couple of months ago about the cultural vultures in hip hop, right? And one of my points was, people can come into hip hop and they can say they love it, they grew up on, or whatever. As soon as it's done them their service, and they made their money off it, they can go back into a rock, a hard rock. They'll change their entire image. They'll put they Make America Great shirt or hat on, and they're totally gone now. But they use the culture, or whatever you want to call it. They use the music. They use the machine behind it, made their money, and then start doing what naturally feels right to them. You know what I mean?
I'll give you an example. The rapper Everlast, who made Jump Around.
Yeah.
You see, remember when he started and he was wearing the suits and he was rapping? He rapped like a black dude, right? I think
Yep.
Ice-T had him or something like that. And then he did this transition and he was Irish, and jump around, jump up to get down. And now
Yeah.
he does rock or something like. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. But they are allowed to do that while we are pigeonholed in these little spaces where we have to be so degrading or promote self-destruction. And again,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be the morality police or anything. All I'm saying is, man, y'all do whatever you do, but you take ownership of that shit, man. Don't put it on me, because you don't represent me. And you don't represent a lot of people that I know. All that stuff they be talking about, the lean and it is, and you don't like black people. The minute you call them out, they say, what? You don't like black people.
Hey, you remember Chris Rock stand up when he said, Love
Make
black people, can't
yeah, that's
stand
right.
niggas. You know what I'm saying? And people think that we're all the same. Like
We're not.
and we're not. We all of our experiences are different. Our upbringing is different. And yeah, I grew up in a community where I saw a lot of stuff. I'm in my 50s now. I saw a lot of stuff growing up. Family members in the streets, whatever. So I get it, but we're not all the same. It's not a monolith. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to agree on everything, spirituality, political, or anything. But the common ground is having some self-respect. And at some point in hip hop, a lot of the industry bamboozled a lot of young people and exploited us, man. And I know in that article, I think you were saying somewhere around the 88, 89, you got the Ruthless Records, and you got Luke. You really called out. Talk to me about this thing with Easy E, Jerry Heller, and also with Luke Campbell, because that Phil Donahue performance actually changed the cult. We can call it the culture, or change music and this freedom of speech BS, and it really put us in a situation where we're in right now, in my opinion. So can you elaborate on some of that?
You can call it the culture, but it's rap culture. It's not black
Right.
culture, right? Like,
Yeah, I get it. And
yeah,
I can rock with that.
yeah, it's rap culture. I don't have a problem with any of it. Don't put it on me. That's all I'm saying. Now, that with Phil Donahue, Luke, back then his name was Luke Skywalker.
Uh-huh.
And the reason why it was Luke Skywalker is because Star Wars was very popular. I think they was on to the third one by then, Return of the
Yeah, they were.
I can't, it was a while back. But anyway, he was piggybacking on that. And if you pay attention to rap, it started off being wannabe disco, wannabe funk, wannabe rock. And then with De La Soul and Tribe Called Quest and Native Tongue, it was wannabe hippie. It's always been wannabe something. It's never, and listen, I'm saying that with love. It
Right.
has never been clearly defined what it is. Because every couple of years, it had to find a new gimmick.
Is that good or bad?
It can be both.
Okay.
It can be both. Because a lot of people in the beginning saw opportunity from rap, right? And regardless of what they was doing, I love De La Soul. I love Tribe, man. Tribe from Queens, by the way. You know what I mean? Like, I love those groups. So I understand who Native Tongue was and what their marketing angle was. Just like Wu-Tang with the martial arts. Rap incorporates other things that are already popular. This is what it has done for a long time. A lot of people was pretending to be Jamaican.
Yeah.
KRS-One is not Jamaican. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So it's always a gimmick.
He said 9 millimeter go bang, dang. You know what I'm saying?
It's always a gimmick. So Luke's gimmick was what? Sex.
Yeah,
But
strip club culture.
Correct. Luke was 29 years old, though, right?
He was.
And that does not make him bad. That helps people understand why his music was dealing with topics and content that people like LL and Running Them wasn't dealing with. LL was 16 when he got on. Running Them was 18 when they got on. You understand what I'm saying? Like, so when you look at the guys who are known for being so-called moguls and label owners from out of town, they were a lot older, so they were more mature, and they had more experience in life. Whether that
so Luke being 29, then he was definitely like Nas' song Second Childhood, Scoon. You know what I mean? He was really preaching to a raunchy young culture, but he wasn't preaching to kids. He wasn't talking to kids anymore. You know what I'm saying? So I know that made a change too.
I think what Luke did what worked for him in Miami. From what I saw, Two Live Crew was actually from California. From what I saw, I didn't even know that, right, until I was writing the article. And he was managing them, and then he ended up being like he took over. He did a Diddy. You know how Diddy
he did
in the videos. You know what I'm saying? He did a Diddy and made himself the front man, right?
He did.
The group. So I just really think that Luke didn't care who bought his music. I think Luke was just trying to make money. That's what I think. I don't know, right? I think all of those guys, the older guys,
Right.
they came into it to make money because they were older. They had different responsibilities, right? A lot of
Right.
them, like LL was still living with his grandmother when he started rapping. I
Right.
I met L when he was in Andrew Jackson High School.
Right.
Chaz's son name is Raheem too. Chaz
Okay.
brought him up on the avenue to meet me. LL used to say he was from Hollis, Queens, and running them made him stop saying it. At the end of "I Need a Beat," he shouts out Hollis, Queens, like he's
Word.
because he was trying to do what? Ride the wave that running them started. And if you pay attention to hip hop, that's just what they do. It's just wave riding, and that's how they keep the genre alive. And it has made like tens of billions of dollars annually, man.
But you
You
saw
know,
the progression change.
yes,
You,
I
you
did.
saw as far as like, okay, you got the whole things with rappers delight. That's the disco. You taking the chicks good times and all that. Then you're moving on into the social commentary of the message. And I remember being a youngster and my brother having the message, the record, and I'm trying to process because it's giving you the visualization of urban America in New York at the time with Mel and Mel and everything like that. Then you start seeing, it growing in the Run DMC and L and all that, man. So, that progression. But then I think you said one thing in the article. At one point, the music was by the kids for the kids to a degree, and at some point with NWA and with Luke and everyone, now the music is not for the kids anymore, and that was kind of the precursor of where we are today.
Well, yeah, the music, it wasn't made by kids or for kids, but kids started listening to it, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
Because again, the money dictated everything. Those guys, what they really did was they expanded the market base. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
rap was initially just for kids, now it was for everybody. Kids who wanted to be adults, adults who wanted to be kids. It was just one big ball right there. It's fascinating, right? Because just to go back to the timeline, if you look at Africa Bambaataa and
Mm-hmm.
Soul Sonic Force, they really wanted to be Parliament Funkadelic, right?
Absolutely.
If you look at Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, in that video for the message, they look like the village people, the way they dressed, right? It's just, I mean, no shots, but I'm just
Yeah, a
putting,
little suspect, but anyway.
look, So I mean, rap has always been the kids' way of trying to get into the music business.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't sing, they couldn't play instruments, they couldn't uh, they couldn't write or read music. They were
Mm-hmm.
not formally trained in music at all. So they got in using other people's beats and scratching and mixing. And that's the part about hip hop people don't know. It started with the DJ, and nobody talks about that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
They call rap the CNN of music and all this. And before there was the message in 1982, the rhymes were very, very simplistic. It was like Jack and Jill went up the hill to have a little fun. Stupid Jill forgot the pill, and now they have a son. That's the type of stuff they used to say.
Yeah, they were just entertaining the kids. I mean, the people at the house parties because the DJ was always the star. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right. That's right. And then you got people like Tariq Nasheed making documentaries and pointing to some people talking over music in the 30s, the Jubilees or whatever their name
Right.
is, and all. And that's not hip hop though. People have always been talking over music. But if you don't know what hip hop is, yes, you would try to you know, explain it to your limited understanding. It was always about the DJ. It was Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. Graham was a Theodore,
Mm-hmm.
and the Fantastic Five.
Well, like Hollywood and all those guys too.
That's right, DJ Hollywood.
Yeah.
It was Cool Herc and the Herculoids. Notice in all of those situations, the DJ always had top billing. What relegated the DJ to obscurity is commercialism.
Mm.
Because with commercialism now, and like I pointed out in the article, that Rapper's Delight song in 1979, Niles Rodgers from the group Chic, They was
Mhm.
like, he didn't understand. He was hearing his music and somebody else with their nobody had ever done that before. There weren't any laws covering it. So that's what created the need for sampling laws because the rappers, being the kids that they were,
Right.
not knowing right from wrong or the
They
legality
didn't know.
or whatever, they yo man, they were using someone else's intellectual property without their permission. And although that had been done in the past, it was called cover songs. See, but
Hmm.
people used to sing on records, right? So you could make a different version of somebody else's song. It's called a cover song. But what the rappers were doing is they were taking the music and spitting their own lyrics over it. And it just, but look at the industry it created though with sampling. You know how many people made money off of their music getting sampled? I
Cause
mean,
I remember you. You
mhm.
remember when I think Biz Market had that his album All Samples Clear because he went through I think a lawsuit as well with some joints that he had released and I think they got sued and then when his next album was called All Samples Clear and I think that was because of that situation. Again, a lot of people was just straight up jacking people music in the 80s. They didn't know any better, and the record
Correct.
companies didn't know what to do at the time.
Listen, man, I believe George Clinton probably made more money off of the Chronic than Dr. Dre did, right?
Probably
Because he
did.
took all his music. So when you're a rapper and you're talking about you're a producer, you're really a reproducer if all you're doing is playing people. The Chronic, he literally like played so much of Clinton's music. It wasn't like
Yeah.
chopped up pieces. Kanye is really good at chopping up pieces of music and
Right.
stuff. But what Dre did was different. But back to the chronological order that I was on is that
Hmm.
with the disco, I had a discussion with Lord Jamar, right? I was on his podcast and
Hmm.
he was kind of pushing back on the influence of disco on rap. But I don't argue with people, man, because I'm a little bit older than him, and
Hmm.
I'm actually from the five boroughs, right? No disrespect to anybody, but it started in the Bronx, according to most people.
You're right, according to most people, but there's a lot of stories about that. But I digress.
That's right. There's like Jalil from Houdini swears that Grandmaster Flowers and them was doing it in Brooklyn before the guys in the Bronx. But I'm
I've
not
heard,
from the Bronx or
yeah,
Brooklyn. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I'll let them deal with that. The first I heard of it was out of the Bronx, right? But rap had to work its way through the five boroughs before it started reaching out to other places, right? Now listen to this. It started with break beats.
Hmm.
There was a breakbeat album that catered to DJs where you can get a collection of songs on one album from different artists with all the breakbeats. And what was that album? What was that album called? Super Disco Breaks.
No.
Right? The most renowned hip hop club in the Bronx was called what? The Disco Fever. In the 80s, the Fat Boys were called what? The Disco.
Disco 3.
Yeah, no, so yeah, but I don't even want to embarrass people in front of their audiences and stuff, right? Like, yo, you can't, the influence of disco.
Right. It's there. It's
Oh,
evident.
they were called. It was all over. Look, I mentioned when Run showed me his flyer. It was for a party that Russell threw at the Hotel Diplomat, and it had Run's name on the flyer. And what did it say?
DJ
It's
Run.
no, it said Curtis Blow and
Uh-huh.
his disco son, DJ Run.
Right.
That's exactly what the flyer said. Curtis Blow and his disco son.
Hmm.
So you don't hear nobody talking about the influence of disco on hip hop.
It had a
Now,
major influence.
and then the next wave was rock, and that happened by accident because one of the break beats was Aerosmith's "Walk This Way." I
Hmm.
had that album. The album's called "Toys in the Attic," and the beat, was a guitar riff, boom, bap, boom, 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 bap, boom, bap. So you used to cut the guitar riff, right?
Right.
Run it because that's what the DJs used to use in the 70s and early 80s. Running them used that because that riff was very popular. And it turned out to be what? a major hit with
But you
Aerosmith.
know what's going? Even before Raising Hell, Run MC's
Rock
second
Box.
album is called The King of Rock.
Yo, look, Rock Box. They
Rock
had
Box.
guess what? I was in the Rock Box video.
Word?
I'm all in the Rock Box video. I got on a blue Adidas Adidas suit jacket, and a Yankee hat, and
That's
some
what's up.
and some gazelles. I'm in there about 4 times in that video, man. Like getting out the
Word.
car, waiting for the car to pull up, all that. But anyway, Rock Box. I think Rock Box is really where they saw the potential, because you got to understand, rap is so simple, right? It's going to be easy for people to get tired
Right.
of,
Mm-hmm.
and that puts pressure on it to constantly reinvent itself.
Right.
Topics, from the sound, all of these things. When you listen to people like The Tribe, they use a lot of jazz music. You understand?
Yeah.
And like, yo, that's why I tell you, when it comes to hip hop or rap or whatever you want to call it, to me it's the same. I just think hip hop is the term people started using to kind of distance themselves from like the MC Hammers and the rest of them that were
Absolutely.
commercial. But it's all the same thing, because hip hop is like an elitist term, if you want to know the truth. You know what I'm saying?
I always said this. They get mad at me, Scoon.
Hip hop, you know. Nobody's.
And you know what, too, Scoon? They'll
You
call
know,
some stuff rap for people they don't like, but it's hip hop for
exactly.
the artists they like.
Correct. You know, but nobody's called a hip hopper. They're all called rappers. Okay, let's be
Right.
clear on that. You know what I mean? So anyway, man, they did all of these things, and then came Luke, and then came NWA. And NWA, Easy was only 22, 23, but his partner, Jerry Heller,
Here we go.
was an older Jewish dude.
Yep.
And they formed Ruthless Records. And Easy was, from what I've read, was active in the streets.
Mhm.
He himself claimed to have been a drug dealer, and his cousin got killed, and he had about 250,000, and he started, you know, NWA with Dr. Dre and Yella, and I think Egyptian King and a couple other people.
Yeah.
And then it narrowed down.
Arabian Prince, I believe,
I said
also.
Egyptian King. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you. Look, you know, and then from there, Dre went and they formed Death Row, and
Yep.
that was with Harry O, who was a grown man who had been selling
Yeah.
drugs all over the country.
Yeah.
He was in Boston, Detroit, and a lot of other places.
Yeah. He was big.
I would beg to say that Harry O is probably who people like to think Freeway Ricky Ross was. You understand what I'm saying? As far as
I
like
understand exactly what you're saying.
being interstate and all that, oh man, yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? So Harry O got behind that and had Suge Knight, his lawyer David Kenner, and
Yep.
others, and they had Dre as the talent. Then Dre left that, and he went to Interscope. I mean, he went to Interscope with Aftermath. So look at the game. Jimmy
Mhm.
Iovine is distributing Death Row and Aftermath.
Mhm.
Suge and Dre are beefing with each other. And who makes all the money? Jimmy Iovine.
Absolutely.
Jimmy Iovine, I think he worked out a deal with Afeni Shakur over Tupac's um, royalties, if not the masters. I'm not sure. You know what I mean? I can't speak to that. I didn't look into it.
Because
But,
Mill Against the World, was on Interscope also, I believe.
well, Interscope was distributed all of Death Row's material.
Well, right.
So
I'm
anything
talking about before Death Row. I'm talking about before Pac was with Death Row. What was Mill Against the World on Interscope?
I don't know. It might have been, because
I believe
you
it
know,
was.
Me Against the World is actually my favorite Pac album.
It's mine too.
Yeah,
I think it's most truthful. I think it's most truthful who he really is. When I think about
yes,
Just Around the Corner, So Many Tears, Lord Knows, Dear Mama, that's the side, the thought-provoking and the paranoid Tupac before all the drama with Death Row and all that mess with Suge Knight. I felt like Mill Against the World is who he really was. Conflicted young man.
That's my favorite Pac album.
Amazing album.
And it doesn't get enough credit. Why? Because the fans aren't really music fans. They are fans of the spectacle, of drama.
The circus.
That's right. They're not really music fans, man. You
So
know that.
Scoon, did the circuit start with NWA and Luke? Because you went at NWA and Luke on the article.
Yeah, I see. I don't think I went at them, right?
Well, you ain't go at them too hard, but I think you were spitting some
I,
some
I
facts that a
just,
lot of people don't think about.
yo, I put it out there. You know, George
Yeah.
Lucas. A week after Luke was on Donahue, George Lucas sued him and forced him to drop that Skywalker name. See,
Mm-hmm.
Luke defended himself against all the attack by saying, "I'm not doing anything wrong. This is black culture. We're all like this." See, and that's what they do to this day. This is what they say. They do their bullshit. They get rich, and then when they get called out on it, they're gonna call the white people a racist, and if you black and you call them out, they're gonna call you a coon. And it's been
Facts.
going on. It's been going on for so long that now the fans have adopted that attitude. Yo, it's amazing. I won't just put it on rap. I just think that a lot of things that's in the media, that's consumed by the masses, whether it be reality TV, even academia, right? I think a lot of it is social engineering. It's almost
Yeah,
as if
facts.
there are architects somewhere, and they decide if people want to think, they're going to be the ones that give them the thoughts, you know, and they do it through entertainment
Mm-hmm.
uh, for the lowest level of people, and then for the ones who think they're really smart and thinkers, they do it through education or miseducation, as
Mm-hmm.
Carter G. Woodson would say. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's a lot of that going on, man. And again, man, like I said, I've been through a whole lot, man. I very seldom talk about any of that street stuff. I know it like the back of my hand. I could do a street podcast and not blow everybody out the water if I
Yep.
wanted to, right? Because the same thoroughness I bring to what I do with Scoon TV or with my mental health businesses or anything, I would bring to that, because the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. You know what I mean? I'm thorough, I'm disciplined, and all of that. This is pretty much, aside from the grace of God, this is pretty much why I'm here doing the things that I'm doing, and didn't go through what a lot of my peers went through.
Well,
You
you
know what I
scare
mean?
a lot of people too, though, Scoon,
Oh,
because
absolutely.
that truth serum
That's
scares a lot
right.
of people. It breaks a lot of narratives and nonsense, and there are quote unquote huge names in the culture who know exactly who you are and want to stay far away from you, because when you talk and you want them to speak some truth back, they're going to run the other way because it's going to hurt their brand, their fake image, and all this other crap. You know what I'm saying? I get that. I understand that. You know what I'm saying? Because I know a lot of people in the industry as well, and I had a lot of private conversations, and a lot of these people are not who some of you guys who listen to this think they are. They are not who you think they are. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people are puppets, you know what I'm saying? And they don't make their own decisions. And I'm gonna tell you, man, it's a minstrel show in a lot of sense, with a lot of the major artists over the last 30 years.
Shout out to Fontaine and Pooh, the minstrel show. You know, look, let me tell you, man. This is what I understand. So I've made up my mind that I'm not gonna be fabulously rich for the reasons you just said. I
Mm-hmm.
could become fabulously rich if I just joined in with the dark side, right?
It's not who you are,
It's not who I am. I have the intellect, all of that to do it,
of course.
and do it well, right? But that's not who I am. And there's guys who's doing things that's not really cool. But sometimes it's because they're not strong enough to resist. And my word to them is this: if I'm doing what you don't have the courage to do, but you know what I'm doing needs to be done,
Mm-hmm.
that it's the right thing, then what is stopping you from?
Schoon, there's a lot of cowards out here. I'm gonna give you another quick
But
example.
but but, but
Go
listen,
ahead.
I'm saying, what is
Go ahead.
stopping them from supporting me discreetly? What? Nothing. They can do it.
Nothing should do it.
Look, I'm saying the things that need to be said that they can't say or they're afraid to say. but they know it needs to be said because
Yeah.
there's something that I posted on social media the other day. You see, the world our children inherit
Mm.
is the world we created and leave for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even though they got their money and they got these these nice cars and they're sending us pictures from all these exotic locations and blah blah blah. What world are they creating for their children when there's been studies, and I'm gonna quote a statistic now,
Mm-hmm.
that by 2053, the the average black net worth will be $0. So even though you got some paper, who knows for how long you'll have it, right?
Right.
What's gonna happen to your kids, man? Like like you are really undermining our ability to self-sustain. Like
Mm-hmm.
when I hear a statistic that by 2053 the average black net worth is going to be $0. I mean, that's what the average black net worth was in 1865, right after the
Right.
emancipation. It sounds like we're going back in that direction, right?
Scary.
It's scary. And we got all these people just a skinning and grinning. Look at me, my chain hang low, my chain costs as much as your house, and blah, blah, blah. These people are like the biggest minstrels and fools you could ever want to see. Now, I remember Richard Pryor's bodyguard was talking about Flip Wilson. And
Mm-hmm.
you remember Flip Wilson with Geraldine and all that?
Yeah, I remember.
He was talking about how a lot of people thought Flip Wilson might have been gay or because he played the woman Geraldine. La, da,
Mm-hmm.
da, 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 da. Flip Wilson hated what he was doing, but he used his success to help other people maybe not have to go the route he went. And I think that's what has to happen with some of us that's out there. I mean, some of us are really full gone, man. We're gone. We're
Mm-hmm.
not coming back, right? They're
That's
gone.
right. They gone.
And they don't have to help me, but help somebody that's doing something right. Otherwise, there'll be nothing left of us if everybody just takes from us and facilitate the exploitation of all of us.
You know what? To be brave, you're going to be attacked, right? One thing you said in your article is what I posted about a year ago. I said, man, we all owe Dolores Tucker an apology, right? I posted this on Twitter about a year ago, and I tell you, that thing went viral. People went crazy attacking me. And I'm saying, look, Dolores Tucker and Calvin Butts, the Reverend, and when Doggy Style was coming out, they did this boycott. She was very instrumental in fighting against gangster rapping, the exploitation of women. Calvin Butts used to he bought all these albums and rode a what I'm saying, like a tractor over them and everything like that back in the early 90s. But they got attacked by even the biggest hip hop artists at the time about what they were trying to do. But in essence, she was right, because think about this, Curtis. If the vulgarity in hip hop was kind of cut when Dolores Tucker was on her rampage or whatever, you might not get right a Little Kim, who Biggie created, a Foxy Brown, and then their daughters are the Nicki Minaj's and Cardi B's and Megan and all that, and the strip club rap, and the way a lot of black women look at themselves now in social media. Maybe this doesn't even happen that way if a lot of people would have saw what C. Dolores Tucker and Reverend Calvin Butts was saying back in 1993. And you kind of addressed some of that also in your article. And I was smiling when I read it, because I had said something similar about a year ago, and I got brutally attacked on social media.
See, and I don't be caring about getting attacked.
And I don't care either, of course.
I almost have fun with it because
I love it.
Look, see Dolores Tucker. She saw what was going on, but a lot of people see it. She just opted to try to do something about it.
Mm.
She was ridiculed, made fun of, and all of that. But this is why it happened. Those people, those same black people that talk about their entrepreneurs, entertainers,
At what cost?
pro black. They say all of
Mhm.
these things, but they will fight you and kill you to preserve their right to make pennies on the dollar for the Leo Cohens, the Jerry Hellers, the Jimmy Iovines of the world, man. So they got all this gangster posturing. Jimmy Iovine don't have the kind of security that a lot of rappers run around
You
with,
don't need it because ain't nobody gonna mess with him.
because ain't nobody gonna mess with him. And he got way more money than all of them, right? Uh, Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre, I believe it was all Iovine's money, gave $70 million to USC. His daughter Jessica had
Right.
graduated from USC. And he gave $70 million to USC. And of course, it was in Dre's name and his name, but it ain't really Dre's
Institution that
money.
doesn't need it.
The institution don't need it. It wasn't really Dre money. And Dre ain't going to give no money to no HBCUs because that's not part of Jimmy's plan. See,
Right.
that's why I know it wasn't Dre money, right? Because Jimmy's daughter went to USC. That's why Jimmy and Dre gave money there. In other words, either Jimmy gave the whole 70 million or Jimmy said, "No, you're going to give half. I believe Jimmy put up the whole 70 and attached Dre's name to it to give him good pub. I think Dre, I just think Dre is like Jimmy's bottom bitch, man. That's it.
Ooh.
That's how I see it. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. I think he's like Jimmy's bottom bitch. He's going to get Jimmy paid, man. And
Well, you got some puppet masters. You got some puppet masters in the music industry. Of course, you got Jim. You had Jerry Heller when he was alive. Yeah, you got Clive Davis. You got a lot of these guys who they just they do this right here, man. And then and they say jumping. Some of these guys jump high as they can. You know what I'm saying? And where's the integrity at? Because again, if you're going to go against the establishment and say this is what's good, this is what's bad about the music and how it's affecting the community, because people will say, "Oh man, if you got good parents and all this, the music shouldn't affect." No, but music has power. We know that music influenced these young kids, and then when a lot of these street dudes got enthralled into the music, now the lines are blurry. It's a lot of gray area now because the streets and the music are too tied together.
yeah, look, you look at rap now with Julio Folio, YNW Melly, Lil Durk, FBG Duck,
Yep.
the young Dolph case, the young Thug case,
Yep.
Quando Rondo, and it's just high profile cases, RICO cases, all of these things, and the labels, the distributors, all of them can stop it because these people are indulging in this activity because this is what makes them authentic,
Mm-hmm.
and this is how they sell. And I believe the way to stop this is not to tell them you should do better. It's lock their asses up, but lock up the label heads too. They
Mm.
all should be sitting next to each other in court. Watch how fast this shit stop. When they realize
Yeah.
when they realize that, oh shit, they're not just gonna lock up the niggas. Oh man,
Yeah.
I can't touch that. You look at 6ix9ine. Now he's Latino. Danny Hernandez, I think is his name. Who signed him? Elliot Grange. Who's Elliot Grange's father? Lucian Grange, the head of Universal Music. They
Right.
keep finding people. They keep finding people to sow confusion in the community. It's almost like it's being used to create chaos, and then they monetize the chaos so they can fund even more chaos. I want to believe that if whenever these guys get charged with RICO charges or any kind of charges pertaining to their music, if you start indicting the executives and the people that profit off of them, it'll all stop overnight.
It would. Certain artists wouldn't be signed. The
They
music wouldn't
wouldn't
be
be found,
distributed.
they would be distributed. It'll be over. So we're letting them go. And all of these Negroes that's jumping out there talking about, this is black culture and this, that, the other. All you're doing, you're like that Malcolm X anecdote where the master's house was burning and a slave came and said, "Boss, Our house is burning.
Yeah, our house burning.
Yeah, you see, and that's who all of these Negroes are. They rush to the defense of rap. They're that dude that's like, boss, our house is burning because they don't want. They worrying about where they gonna sleep or how they gonna eat. See, and they're doing it at the expense to the detriment of all of us. And I think it's shameful. And listen, I've I've done some wrong things in my life, but never
Mhm.
in my life did I do wrong and think it was right. You got to know what you're doing is wrong, and then sometimes you just got to say enough is enough. Because if you stay doing wrong, eventually it's gonna catch up to you. Like it's catching up to a lot of them. I look at young Dirk. I mean, little Dirk right now. He's by.
He's in trouble, bro.
Isn't he distributed by Interscope as well, Lil Durk?
I think he is. But to your
Yeah,
point, though, these guys, okay, Lil Durk can do life or he can get killed or Dolph getting killed. It don't matter because those executives will find a new one. There's always a new guinea pig ready to be slaughtered while the other guys sitting in their plush apartments downtown New York or LA or Miami, wherever, and relaxing. They're not in the crossfires of no street beef that rolled over into the music and all of this crap like that, man. And I blame somebody like Suge Knight too, man, because you think about Death Row, you know what I'm saying? They end up having bodyguards that was gang members and all. It started, you know, putting gang members in a high esteem, like they more important than they really are when they're not important.
you know, Suge was a cancer in the music business, but it was a lot of people, man. It was allowed to go on, and we embraced it, right? And we embrace it because we are so desperate for heroes that we ignore all of the warts that come with them.
Hey, Scoon,
You
let me say something real quick, brother.
know?
You just sparked a thought because I thought about this earlier. So in hip hop, we learned about drug dealers. I'm in North Carolina. I learned about some of the biggest drug dealers in New York and in LA and everything like that from hip hop. I remember Nas on Illmatic talking about Pappy Mason and everyone. We learned about all of these Supreme and all of these guys from hip hop. We should never know who these guys are, but in hip hop culture, we made all of these guys popular. And so a lot of people want to mimic who they were in their own communities, whether it's where you from with the Supreme Team and all that, or the cats in Harlem, or a lot of cats over on the West Coast that was doing big dope and all that and all the stuff in Miami and everything. We shouldn't even know who these people are, but hip hop made heroes out of, Kumo D talked about this in an interview not too long ago. Like, hip hop made heroes out of people who we shouldn't even know, who we shouldn't praise, who we shouldn't revere. He's like, just because you're trying to feed your family, don't mean you got to kill my family. And that's what Mo D said, and I agree with that 110%.
Yeah, but you see, nobody gonna listen to Mo D, right? They ain't gonna pay
Right.
mind. But what he's talking about is, and I'm not just limiting it to this. You know, I saw a performance. I don't know where it was with Rick Ross, and he was out there with a red fur coat on, talking about, "I think I'm Big Meech." And Big Meech was
Yeah.
there. Now, let me tell you something about Big Meech, man. I don't know the guy. Again, I don't even know why people are so excited about him.
Mm.
You know, yes, he made money selling drugs. That's his business, though. Like, what did he do that made you so excited? Do you want to be a drug dealer? So then, what's stopping you? You understand? Why don't you?
Right.
You know, not if that's your role model. Why aren't you doing what he did? So you just a cheerleader, right? And excuse me, I'm not even hating on Meech, but he came out on stage and the crowd was cheering for him. And I left a comment. I said, sheep cheering for a wolf. No, I said sheep celebrating a wolf. And
Yeah.
what I meant by that is the people who was celebrating him and his appearance, these are people who have aunts, uncles, cousins on drugs, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about uh, locking Meech up. He did his time, whatever. He did a lot of time. I think like 20 years or something,
Yeah.
right? That's a lot of significant time. He paid his debt to society. I'm not even talking about Meech. I'm talking about the people. What's going on in their mind
Mm-hmm.
that they're celebrating someone whose accomplishment was preying on people just like them. You see what
Whew.
I'm saying? It's even with the killers. I
It's
know,
tough, man.
I know quite a few people who have been accused of a murder,
Hmm.
convicted of murder, suspected of murder. I know quite a few of them, right? Because I came up in the murder era, the crack era.
Hmm.
I came of age in the 80s. In 1984, I was a 20-year-old man. And man,
Hmm.
and in New York, starting in 85, it was just under 1,400 murders in one year. And it peaked in 91 with over 2,200 murders in one city. That's like 6 murders a day for the whole year. So I know a lot
That's
of
a
people.
lot.
Yo, man, yeah, I know a lot of people who've been killed, and that's not exclusive to New York. That's DC. Every major city back then, you know, the streets was like the damn near the roaring 20s back in them days, right? But it wasn't entertainment. In other words, you could have missed all of it if you was just a civilian doing civilian things, right?
Hmm.
It was mostly affecting people who were participants.
Right.
That's what was mostly affecting.
And it wasn't it wasn't talked about in music like that.
That's right, right. So they weren't anyone's hero or role models.
Right.
Now the point I'm getting at is that I hear names of notorious killers, right? And I'm wondering why would people who would most likely be a victim
Hmm.
or one of their relatives be a victim to these people, why are they happy about it? Right? You hear what I'm saying? My focus is not on them because I think like when killers got a reputation, it kind of like in killer circles it means something. I'm just
Right.
trying to wonder why it means something in victim circles. Because
Right.
the reality is, most of these people who are getting excited about these guys,
Y'all will be
they,
prey.
yeah, they're more likely to be victims. That's the puzzling part to me. Like, it's like you can't hold your own with them. These people, they operate from a different premise, man.
So the
And,
yeah.
anyway, man, it's just like you were saying, the celebrating drug dealers. Why do 9 to 5 people know who these people are? Why do they
Yeah.
care?
Why?
Why do they care? Why do they know? Why do they want to know?
And why
Why?
are they not looked down upon?
Yo, that part.
Why do I care about Frank Lucas? Why do I care about Nicky Barnes? I could be like, they're a piece of shit to the community. Why do I care about them?
And they'll tell you, well, they make mafia movies. All right, well, a movie is a movie. You see it once and that's it. But song after song, artist after artist, blah, 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 blah. It's being pounded into young minds.
And the
You know,
positive music never get the same kind of run. Of course, at one point, you're gonna have NWA, you had Public Enemy, you had S Clan, you had Brand New, but you had a lot of even leading up to the late '90s when you have people like Black Star with Mos and Tyler and Common and all of them, but those ain't the guys that the kids are trying to emulate.
look, man, what did Jay-Z say about Common? He said he wanted
Yeah,
to rhyme like common sense,
but
but
I
for
did
so
5 mil.
I ain't
I
been
ain't been
rhyming.
robbing like common sense,
That's right. So it's all
right?
motivated by money. You know what I mean? Like, yo, bro, it's just all motivated by money. And that's why when I was telling you about myself, I've already accepted that I'm not going to be fabulously rich or anything. I'm good just being comfortable, man. Like money is not the metric that I want to be measured by. And it's not because I can't get any money. I've been making my own money since the
Mm-hmm.
summer of 1976, bro. I
Mm-hmm.
did my first street deal in a parking lot in Little Italy because I was 11 years old and I had rode the train to Chinatown to get
Mm-hmm.
fireworks. And I thought the Chinese people were selling fireworks because they had Chinese writing on the fireworks. And when I was walking around, I had like little 20 something dollars on me. And I'm looking to score, and the white boys was like, "Yo, you looking for fireworks?" I said, "Yeah." And I met them in the parking lot, and
Mm-hmm.
I bought my first work in the parking lot in Little Italy.
Right.
'Cause if you know New York, Little Italy is right next to Chinatown. We
Mm-hmm.
talk about like they all just a little few blocks radius, right? And I've been making my own money ever since, man. But I don't love money. I don't worship money. I don't care how much money anybody got. I don't care who's on the Forbes list. None of that.
Careless.
Yo, man, it doesn't mean anything to me. You see, the things that's most important in life are the things that money can't buy. And
Mm-hmm.
yes, we all need money to pay our bills and put food on the table and provide for our families and these things. Yes, to cover our basic essentials. But
Mm-hmm.
once you get that together, right, and you get to add a little nicety and luxury here and there, but you can't make those things the focus of your everyday existence. Otherwise, you'll never be satisfied, and you'll have money and you'll wonder like, yo, why am I not happy?
It'll never be enough.
It'll
It's never
never
gonna
be
be
enough.
enough.
It'll never be enough, man.
So and you said something about money in your article too. Like when the money start being available, do you feel like that's when the exploitation, because just like black exploitation, do you feel like that's when it went to a whole nother level because the accessibility of the money or I might be able to make this amount of money. So the content or me being the buffoonery, the circus, will do whatever it takes because most of these kids are poor kids from lower middle class to poor communities. Now they have an opportunity to make some money by all means, I guess.
Let me tell you, the owner of Profile Records, his name was Corey. I can't remember his last name, but he signed Run DMC. And most people don't know Jam Master Jay was not an original member of Run DMC. Their first album only have their faces on the cover. They wouldn't show his face on the back. He had to bend his head down and just show his hat. They wanted to put him in the group. Russell didn't want to put him in the group because they were only getting 35 cents per album that they had to share.
Wow.
35 cents, right? So
Eesh.
it's yeah, exactly.
What Q-Tip say? Industry rule number 4080.
Record company people are shady.
Hey,
Yeah, look, yo, so you know, and Run told me this. This is how I know. I didn't read the contract. It wasn't in an interview. He told me this that all they got was 35 cents per album, and they had to split that money.
that's crazy.
That yo, bro, that's what was going on. So for the money to get more money, the kids or young people, very young people, coming from working class families, if not abject poverty, they were often easily misled and
Yeah,
compromised.
easy prey.
So this is why I have a problem with calling hip hop black culture,
Mm.
because something that can be dictated and determined by people outside of the culture through their financial means cannot be a culture. If you're not in control of your culture, it's not your culture. If someone else is deciding every 5 years what your culture is, it's their culture that they want you to have because
Right,
it's beneficial to them.
right.
You understand what I'm saying? And that's my problem with it. And they push that rap is black culture narrative because it kind of insulated from a lot of criticism. People don't know what to say because you don't, if you're white and you criticize it, you don't want to be called a racist.
Yep,
And if you're black and you criticize it, you don't want to be called a sellout or a coon or whatever. You know what I mean? And it's just
that's a fact.
so now they got immunity for all their transgressions, man. They got immunity by calling it black culture, and they're quick to push that line. And a lot of people, they're just not really critical thinkers, and they can't see what is going on.
So the calling it black culture and let people escape accountability.
Facts, big time. Because
It's a
now
shield.
what do you call in black culture? What happened with Julio Fulio, FBG Duck, drill music?
Yeah,
When
that ain't black culture, it's
when
ignorant culture.
that's not black culture. That's wickedness. That's wickedness. Imagine killing somebody and making music about it and laughing about it on social media, smoking a pack in their name and desecrating their grave. I read somewhere in one state somebody went to dig up the grave of their ops or something like that. These people are mentally ill and wicked. You cannot call that black culture.
Real
But
music is one of the worst things to happen to rap music. It's one of the worst things to happen to a certain segment of the black community, a certain age group. You know what I mean? Like you said, you're talking about a very demonic energy to even go to a graveyard and disrespect it. We grew up respecting the graveyard. We didn't even want to walk through the graveyard. I'm in my 50s now. We didn't even want to walk through the graveyard growing up. You know what I'm saying? As a place of people resting in peace. You didn't want to disrespect the dead. And there's something vile with that, man. And the
and
drill music, along with what they're drinking, what they're smoking. We all remember in 1999 when Mos Def did Black on Both Sides. He said hip hop went from selling crack to smoking it. All these guys now act like crackheads, man.
well, it's a lot of drugs that they're pushing.
Yeah,
Well, I remember when they started promoting Molly and ecstasy. Every
Future, the
rapper started.
Percocet, all this.
Which before them, it was, even Ja Rule mentioned ecstasy in a song.
Yeah, they
People
did.
they started mentioning the drugs, and the people take their cue from the
Yep.
entertainers. And Molly, I was first exposed to Molly around 97, 96, and white people were the ones using ecstasy.
Yep.
In fact, Sammy the Bull Gravano's daughter Karen and her crew, um, what was Jennifer Graziano and Ramona. What's her name? I met these chicks, right? And
Mm.
look, they were selling ecstasy and hydroponic high grade weed. They had a company called Aromatherapy,
Mm.
right? And
Right.
there's a movie made about the ecstasy plug that they had. They connected with Hasidic Jews who were bringing it in from Amsterdam. The movie's called Holy Rollers, but most
Okay.
of the ecstasy was being used by white folks. And then once the rappers started talking about it, by the early 2000s, black people started. And I was fascinated because I couldn't find anybody.
That's the power of influence, marketing.
Listen. See, like when I was young, they had a drug called mescaline that was like, a little pill that you take, or they'd smoke PCP or weed. And by the way, again, when crack took off, marijuana usage dropped
Mm.
because cocaine overtook everything. Guess when marijuana usage came back?
When is that?
Chronic, the chronic.
Yeah, makes sense.
When Dre dropped the chronic,
It was
marijuana,
marketing it was marketing marijuana.
it went back up again, man. Like, it's crazy. And people don't understand. They're in denial about the influence
The
of,
average person
of
is
music and
easily
entertainment.
influenced. I give you an example. There was a PBS documentary that came out in the 90s about a gentleman named Edward Bernays. He was called the
Yeah,
father of American marketing, right? You probably heard about him,
I
Sigmund
know who
Freud's
he
nephew, if
is.
I'm not mistaken. So that
Mhm.
whole thing about the way he used to help big corporations market something, like let's say marketing a hamburger or market these cigarettes, and at one point women didn't smoke cigarettes. All of a sudden on New Year's, like 1910 or whatever, he had like 50 women pull out their cigarettes. They thinking it's liberation. Next thing you know, thousands of women over the next couple of decades are dying from cancer.
Look, it wasn't he a part of the reason why we started eating 3 meals a day breakfast to promote breakfast cereals and all
If
that.
I'm not mistaken, he's the one.
Yeah, it's so easy to say, yo, man, if they didn't buy it, we wouldn't sell it. We have to really be honest about how how malleable the thought processes of the masses are.
Oh my
It-
God, sheep.
yo, so it's up to there's going to be wolves, but where's the good shepherds?
Right.
So somebody has to protect the sheep from the wolves, because the sheep, they just sheep, man.
The good shepherd's gonna take some bullets though, so you gotta be willing to not be accepted by, and like in your case or Michael, whoever case, pop culture or media, because you're not playing the game with them. See, you don't play the game, Scoon. So
No,
if
I
you
don't
played
play
the
the
game,
game.
you'd be one of the top guys if you played the game. You don't play the game because you have a certain way you're gonna show your integrity, and that's gonna scare away these clowns in this minstrel show.
Look, man, I don't play the game. I understand the game, and I look at
Yeah.
some of the people who are playing the game, and I know I could run circles around them, but I'm not interested in it. For instance, Jason Whitlock. I used to do a
I
podcast,
know.
right? And Whitlock wanted me to go to Blaze with him,
Hmm.
but I didn't want to go. And the reason why I didn't want to go is because I couldn't authentically be me over
Hmm.
at at Blaze.
You gotta be a character. You're not a character.
That's right. You had to be a character. And don't you believe for a minute that any of those people that talk for a living, whether it be Whitlock, Candace Owens, Patrick Bet David, Joe Rogan,
Hmm.
I don't care who it is, how big they are, how small they are, don't you believe for a minute that they believe everything they say?
Oh, I know they don't.
Yeah.
I'm very aware. I know they don't.
They
But
don't
the part is, a lot of people believe what they saying and believe what they saying.
they don't believe everything they say. They run in game because it's easy. And you know,
It's lucrative too.
speaking of sheep, you know, every sheep's ultimate destination is the slaughterhouse to be led, fed, and shed.
That's a
See,
fact.
when you're the sheep, that's what happens to you. It's good eating. It's going to be lamb chops and mutton everywhere. It's going to be
Hmm.
you on the plate. You understand what I'm saying? And I get it. That's the way of the world. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel, but that burden has to be distributed. It can't be concentrated on black folks. There's always going to be prey. There's always going to be victims. I accept that. I just don't want. I want everybody to have their fair share, because it seems like black people are a disproportionate percentage of that burden, man. Everybody's making their money off of us, man. Every foreign immigrant community that comes into America, first thing they do is open a convenience store, gas station, dry cleaner, something in a black neighborhood, because
Yep,
we tend to be the most free with our money, and that's a nice way of putting it. But what it really means is we are the most irresponsible with our
we
money.
are.
You
We
know,
buy.
and that goes back to 2053. When you see how we handle money or fail to handle money, it's so believable that our collective, well, average net worth would be zero in 2053. And think about it, man. How far is 2053 from here? 27 years, man.
That's not a long time from now. You know what I mean? When you in the
Listen,
grand scheme of things.
I, I I just had a son born 5 weeks ago.
Wow,
We talking
congrats.
about, thank you. We talking about his life.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know, that's why I said the world we help create is the world we leave behind for our children to inherit. So
that's
when I
very
do,
scary.
when I'm doing the things that I'm doing, I'm not doing it for clout. I'm not doing it
I know you're not.
for because I'm a hater or none of that shit. I do it because I feel it has to be done, and I'm not thinking about just myself. I'm thinking about my kids. I'm thinking about your kids. I'm thinking about the kids. You know,
Yeah,
we have to do better to
have to.
put them in position that they could at least defend themselves from what's coming their way.
And certain images are very powerful. You know, we talking about our spending power or lack thereof, or things of that nature. You think about how some of these rappers portray a lifestyle, and they got some young people spending every dollar they have to say, I'm in Miami every weekend, or I'm buying this type of car, or I got this jewelry, I got this because of Rick Ross, or because of whoever is the popular guy who spits a luxury lifestyle. It's a fake lifestyle. You know what I mean? Like, it's not real, it's not sustainable unless you are wealthy. You know what I'm saying? There's people who quote unquote think they're upper middle class or rich. They'll be broken 5 years from now, if not sooner. You know, and so it's one thing. I got certain kids. We used to coach professional athletes, and we used to sit down with these guys and say, "Look, you don't want to be broke 3 years after you retire, man." I was just with two of them about 2 weeks ago. You know what I mean? And these guys did their investments. They're not influenced by pop culture or hip hop and all that. But the kids that you see who are really influenced by the music, man, it affects them so much financially, mentally, you know what I'm saying, emotionally. You know, it's a lot of power in these images and this music, man. I just think you broke it down in this article, man, and more people need to have that type of mentality you have, man. But it's not because, again, the circus don't like serious shit.
And that reminds me, please visit ScoonTV.com.
Absolutely.
Download the Scoon TV app, independently owned, right?
Mm-hmm.
No sponsors, no censorship, no bullshit, and most of the content is free. If you want to support, become a paid member, or there's a donate link. I'm not even sure what it is, but it's on the website.
Yeah,
And
we're gonna do that, Scoon. And also,
mhm.
yeah, anything you have at any moment, brother, I want you to make sure, man, let me know. You know what I'm saying? I would definitely, like, just like today, I'm gonna definitely hit that website, post these joints from your website. I mean, you've done a great job with that. And again, it's serious content that's needed, not just music, but just community and political and things that I've been all over and checked you out. I've checked you out for years, like I'm sure you know. But you know, again, people who follow my platform, I want to make sure those 30,000 plus, you know what I'm saying, really who aren't familiar with some of the things you've done over the years, man. I want to make sure that's no. And look, also, I know you had that black and blue joint, man. And didn't you do a boxing joint? Did you ever release the boxing joint also?
Okay, so I did black, white, and blue with my wife,
Yeah.
Asia, right? Asia does all my. She set up this thing today. She does all my editing, all my shooting.
Beautiful.
She does. Me and her work together,
It's
and
a beautiful thing.
we did the first film, Black, White, and Blue. We were on the
Right.
Breakfast Club to promote that.
Right.
We did the boxing documentary, Born to Box. It's actually a docu-series.
Right.
We did the first episode, and we had interest in it, serious interest. There was some people that were willing to give me 500 to 700,000 per episode on 10
Mm.
episodes. That's $5 to $7 million, right? But what they wanted was they wanted me to drop my whole team. The only name they wanted was mine.
Oh, got you.
And believe it or not, Tom, my team was like, man, drop us. And
Right.
I was like, nah, I'm not doing that. So what I'm really doing, because I got my own server and I got everything. I just got these different things because I fund all my projects myself,
Right.
right? And what I'm really doing is I'm waiting to get Scoon TV all the way organized, and I'm going to have a page to
Mhm.
to show on demand films, not just
Dope.
mine but other
Okay.
people, because Tubi was bought by Fox.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So you'll see a change in their content and format. It used to be a place where guerrilla producers could get their
Right.
stuff on, and now there's going to be a void, and they're going to need something like that again. And
Yeah.
I'm going to do it, and I'm going to start it with my own stuff because I got a lot of different things and different angles. Yeah, so I did that documentary. Uh, it's basic. You can see the promo for it on my
Right.
School TV X page. It's pinned, right?
Yeah.
First episode is about Don King. Um,
Yeah.
o- other than that, man, there's just School TV, um, and what else? Yep, my social media,
Yeah.
TV network, Scoon TV, and Curtis Scoon, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of that. Yeah.
Well, follow this
Trying to,
brother
trying to
and
get
tell
the
us
word
your
out.
brother got a lot of good things coming, as you can see. And let me ask you something real quick, Scoon. Is there going to be a part 2 or some kind of a follow-up to this article, man? This, because it's a lot of layers, man. And we definitely gotta
A
link
book.
together again, man.
It can be a book.
It could be.
There's a mini doc that you could see in the app. In the feature section of the app is all documentaries,
Okay.
exclusive documentaries, right? We drop them like almost every week. Last week, I think we dropped one about China and America, Trump's trip to Beijing to see Xi Jinping. But
I didn't see that. Okay.
yeah, but the week before that, we did satanic rap.
Oh,
It's very interesting. You should watch it.
I'm going to watch that this week.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch that and let you know, man, because that's down my alley. Because I had done an episode about a year or two ago on here, speaking death in your lyrics. That was the name of the episode. You know what I mean? So you saying that kind of sparking some thoughts of mine right now. So I'm gonna definitely check that out and share that.
Watch the satanic rap.
Okay.
Because I was trying to write the criminalization of rap article to come out the same time the satanic rap to tag it, 1-2. But
yeah,
I be doing a lot of stuff with my son. He's 5 weeks old, man. I can't write like I want to write. I gotta get.
Well, I got one just graduated from high school, so I get it.
Listen, man, my oldest son is 35 years old.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
yeah. So I got him at both ends of the spectrum, right?
You really did, brother. You went back to the essence again, didn't you?
Look, somebody told me the other day, man, I can't believe you re-enlisted. You know what I mean? Like,
hey, you was on me. Hey, you did go back in and do another 18.
That's right. Look, said I re-enlisted, but yeah. Go check out those documentaries in the town hall. I got the articles. That's where you find the articles. I wrote several articles this year, but there's other writers in the town hall because I pay writers. I got writers from around the world, and I publish their stuff, and it's all pertinent information. But my articles are going to be longer and more detailed and more researched because it's more of like a passion for me.
Yeah.
Than a job. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, look, man, a pleasure, brother. You already know that, man. I'm glad we were able to link up and have a conversation, man. And we'll definitely link up again in the future. Stick on with me real quick, man. But episode 99, man, the brother Curtis Scoon, man. Check out Scoon TV. Every platform, man, you're gonna get knowledge, man, that's needed in this culture, man, from a real one and not this minstrel show, man. We out of here. Peace.
What you say, Tone? We got 99 problems and a bitch ain't one.
Never that, brother.